Hey everyone, my name is Richard, and on this channel I try to give you tips, tricks, advice, and how-tos on travel and outdoor content, and today we're going to learn some vocab. Now there are a lot of terms, technical phrases, and buzzwords used by the outdoor industry to explain or describe products, and if you don't know what they mean, then it can be difficult to decipher one item from another. So today I want to go over the materials that are used in the outdoor industry, what they are and why they're used. But before we begin, I want to go over their descriptor words so you understand why they're important or relevant. The first key descriptor is breathability. This might sound pretty straightforward, but what it means for fabric is the more breathable it is, the less you're going to sweat in it, and the less likely you are to overheat. Plenty of people probably associate the outdoors with building up a good healthy sweat, and that is all fine, but there are some ways in which sweat can be damaging to both you and to the fabric you're wearing. Sweat is not necessarily a friendly agent towards fabrics, and over time can cause stains and erosion to some materials. So the more you hike and sweat into a shirt, the shorter it's going to last. Also, wet clothing can be dangerous in cooler temperatures. This may not seem like an issue in warmer weather, but if the climate were to suddenly change, if clouds roll in or the wind picks up, or you get to a certain elevation or exposure and the temperature drops, that cold garment is going to cling to your skin and start to freeze, and that can damage your internal body temperature. Lastly, wet clothing causes a lot more friction than dry clothing, and all that excess rubbing can lead to blisters and rashes. Another few terms associated with sweating are quick drying and moisture wicking. These terms aren't mutually exclusive, but you often see them used together, and for good reason. Moisture wicking means that any moisture that we build up through exercise is pulled off our skin through the fabric to the outside where it can evaporate. See, our bodies cool themselves off when we sweat, not by drenching us in water, but from that sweat evaporating off our skin. This is why you get cold when you dry off quickly after a hot shower. So moisture wicking materials do the same process just through fabric. Quick drying is the other half of that process. It's not enough for the fabric to pull the moisture off your body, because then you have to deal with the same problems we talked about in breathability. But if the fabric is quick drying, that means you don't have to deal with wearing sweaty, wet, gross, and non-breathable garments. This is a plus not only while you're actively hiking, but if you have to wash your clothes on the road. If they're made out of quick drying materials, that means you don't have to wait as long after you wash them to dry. So a quick recap of those three. If it's breathable, that means you won't run the risk of overheating or sweating too much. If it's quick drying and moisture wicking, that means if you do sweat, the sweat will be pulled off your body into the fabric where it can dry quickly, keeping you cool and comfortable. Another term that you definitely want to look out for is antimicrobial. Antimicrobials don't allow microorganisms to grow and develop. Organisms like bacteria, viruses, and fungi. In other words, the type of microorganisms that make your clothes smell. So if a garment is antimicrobial, that means it won't start to stink, or it'll take a really long time before it starts to smell. You might also see the terms anti-odor or odor resistant. This is essentially the same thing, but this is hugely advantageous, especially for those who have to go longer periods between washes. Keep in mind that even though antimicrobial garments work at preventing odor-causing bacteria to form, this isn't an immediate process. So if you hike for 8 hours in 90-degree heat, yeah, your clothes are gonna smell terrible, but take them off, let them dry out, let them air out overnight, and in the morning they're gonna smell fine. Now we can get to the main materials themselves. The first material we're going to talk about is merino wool, and this, of course, comes from the merino breed of sheep. This breed originated in the southwest of Spain around the 12th century, and as it spread over countries and continents and eventually found its way most notably to Australia and New Zealand at the close of the 18th century. This is where it was refined and where we get modern merino wool. Merino is regarded as the softest and finest type of wool, making it easy to work with, soft to the touch, and thin enough to use in warm weather climates. So don't freak out when someone suggests wearing a wool t-shirt for a summer hike. Merino wool is lightweight, breathable, moisture wicking, quick drying, and naturally antimicrobial, making it a fantastic material for the outdoor industry. But the biggest perk is just how good it is at being antimicrobial. This makes it a favorite for long-distance hikers and long-term travelers. However, because merino sheep take a lot of effort to maintain and keep healthy, this can make the material pretty expensive. Also, a lot of companies source their materials from New Zealand, so transport can play heavily into its pricing. I say this so you won't be surprised when you find that a merino wool t-shirt is almost twice the price, if not more, than that of a cotton or synthetic one. And a quick fun fact about New Zealand merino wool is that New Zealand has no natural land predators to aggravate the sheep. New Zealand also enjoys a really temperate year-round climate, so these two factors mean that the sheep live a really stress-free life, giving them extremely healthy coats. This is why New Zealand merino wool is so sought after. The next material is bamboo viscose. Now, this is a fairly new material to the outdoor industry, and some companies like Task or Freefly are trying to make their mark with it, whereas other companies are starting to introduce it a little more experimentally. Bamboo viscose, or bamboo rayon, is a fiber that is made from regenerated plant cellulose. Viscose can be made from many plants, but bamboo is a favorite of textile manufacturers because it's soft, easy to work with, and takes dye really well. And like merino wool, bamboo is lightweight, breathable, moisture wicking, quick drying, and naturally antimicrobial. However, merino wool tends to exude these qualities just a little bit better, which is why it's typically favored over bamboo. The other benefit of bamboo viscose is that bamboo grows and regrows extremely quickly. In fact, some species of bamboo can grow at a rate of 1 inch every 40 minutes. This makes bamboo harvesting quick, easy, cheap, and it causes very little damage. And not to mention, it's vegan friendly. Tencel or Lyocell is another viscose-like material derived from tree pulp. It usually isn't used to make complete garments, but it's added to other fabrics because it adds softness and wrinkle resistance. The next major category is synthetics. Now, there are a lot of different types of synthetics, but the basic description is any fabric that is made of man-made material, usually chemicals derived from petroleum. In other words, it's a type of plastic. The reason that a lot of companies, not just outdoor companies, use synthetics is because they're cheap to produce and they're extremely versatile. You can make almost any type of fabric imaginable out of synthetics. But the reason that outdoor companies really like synthetics is because they're very strong. Merino wool and bamboo are great products for outdoor garments, but they're kind of fragile. So a lot of companies will blend merino wool or bamboo with synthetics to help enhance their durability and keep their shape. Now, really the only downside with synthetic fabrics, aside from the whole plastics issue, is that they're not naturally antimicrobial, so they have to be treated with agents to make them odor resistant. And of all the synthetics, nylon is probably one of the top dogs in the outdoor industry because of its strength and versatility. It's incredibly abrasion resistant and water resistant and dries quickly. This makes it a fantastic material for outerwear like winter coats or rain jackets, as well as equipment like tents and backpacks. Polyester is the other major synthetic used in the outdoor industry. Like nylon, it dries quickly, it's abrasion and water resistant, and it's pretty strong, but it is far softer and more supple than nylon is, making it a great fabric to use on next-to-skin items. Items such as socks, shirts, pants, underwear, and bras. Next is spandex, also known as elastane. Spandex is a type of synthetic that is made entirely of polyurethane and is incredibly stretchy. In fact, spandex can stretch up to 400% of its original length and spring back into shape. However, unlike the 1980s, it is no longer used as the main material in exercise clothes, but is now mostly used as an agent to add stretch and mobility. So whether it's combined with other fabrics to create overall stretch, or added in targeted areas, you'll find it in items that fit close to the body, like socks, underwear, and yoga pants. Lycra and Cordura are two types of synthetics that are specifically produced by the company Investa. Lycra is a very resilient type of spandex, and Cordura is a very durable type of nylon. In fact, it is one of the toughest types of materials on the market, which is why you see it not only used in outdoor gear, but in a lot of military gear as well. And the last type of synthetic is microfiber, which is an ultrafine material made of acrylic, polyester, or nylon, and is 1/20th the diameter of silk, which is the finest natural fiber. You usually won't see clothing made out of this material. In fact, it's usually used for cleaning cloths, but you'll find it lining pockets in backpacks or coats to help prevent scrapes or scratches on glasses or screens. Now, I should talk about cotton in this episode because even though many people use cotton for outdoor activities or other types of exercise, it is a terrible technical material. First, cotton absorbs too much moisture and doesn't help regulate your body temperature. Like I talked about in Breathability and Moisture Wicking, a good outdoor material works to help regulate your body temperature so you don't sweat too much or overheat. Secondly, a standard cotton garment like underwear or socks or a t-shirt just doesn't dry quickly, so you're going to run into all of the problems that we've already talked about, like breathability, getting cold, and rubbing and chafing in the wrong places. Lastly, cotton smells and it's heavy. It's not antimicrobial, so smells can attach to it easily and grow the more you use it or the longer it goes unwashed. It's also a very heavy fabric, which is the last thing you want in outdoor clothing. So if you've ever heard the term cotton kills, this is what it's referring to. I hope these explanations help you traverse the technical lingo of outdoor goods. So now when you see a sock from a company like Smart Wool that is 50% merino wool, 40% nylon, and 10% spandex, you'll know that the merino wool is there for softness and its antimicrobial properties. The nylon is there for its durability and shape, and the spandex is there for its stretchiness and flexibility. If you have any questions about the items that I've covered, or if you have other outdoor terms that you're interested in understanding, just leave them in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer them. However, I am interested in doing more in this outdoor vocab series, so you might get your questions answered in a later video. And of course, I want to thank you again for watching today's video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like, and if you find this content useful, please consider subscribing. And as always, I and Buckbee want to wish you all the best on your next adventure.